I added this lesson or this video for lesson 8 because I want to go over rotating a line segment 180 degrees and how you count to figure out where that line segment goes, and also using the midpoint of the two corresponding points as a way to figure out where the center of rotation is. So let's take a look at this. So if I have a 180 degree rotation, I'm going to count from the center of rotation in the opposite direction. So the coordinates remain in the same order, but both are going to change signs. So if you just want to use the coordinates and figure out where the 180 degree rotation goes, you can just use those coordinates and just keep them in the same order, but just change their signs. So count from the center of rotation. So if the center of rotation is D, I'm going to count 4 units to the left in the negative direction. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And 2 units in the negative direction along the y-axis. So this is 1, 2. So this is a negative 4, negative 2. So now I'm going to keep those coordinates in the same order, but I'm going to change both their signs. So to get to a 180 degree rotation, the point where there's a 180 degree rotation, you count 4 to the right and up 2. So it becomes 4, 2. Remains in the same order, but both change signs. So this is 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 units in the positive direction, 1, 2, and connect the points. Notice that the center of rotation is the midpoint between these two corresponding points, C and C prime. All right, so what if the center of rotation is not on the line? So that was at the end of a line segment. But what if the center of rotation is E, which is not on this line segment CD? So you're going to count from the center of rotation to point C. So this is negative 3, negative 3. So if I want to find the point that's a 180 degree rotation of C, I'm going to keep the coordinates in the same order, but I'm going to change both their signs. So it's going to be 3, positive 3. So a positive 3, positive 3. So it's 3 to the right and 3 up. So same order, but you switch the signs. And notice that E, the center of rotation, is the midpoint between C and C prime up here. So the midpoint is the center of rotation for a 180 degree rotation. Center of rotation, midpoint between the corresponding points. All right, so that's C. What about G? So G is 1.1 unit to the left, negative 1, negative 2. So it's negative 1, negative 2. So if I want to locate G that's rotated 180 degrees, I'm going to count from the center of rotation 1, a positive 1, and a positive 2. So it's going to be right here. So count a positive 1, positive 2, and there it is right there. And notice that E is still the center, the midpoint between the two corresponding points, G, and we'll call this point G prime. And the last point is D prime. So it's 1 unit, a positive 1, and a negative 1. So then it's, from here, it's, actually I read that wrong. It should be, well, I read it right. A positive 1 and negative 1 to here. So then to count from the center of rotation, it's going to be, you're going to keep the coordinates in the same order, but switch the signs. So this is going to be negative 1, positive 1. So it was 1, negative 1, so that becomes negative 1, positive 1. And notice that E is still the midpoint between the two corresponding points, D and D prime, we'll call that. So if I connect those points, you end up with a line that's parallel to the original line, but it doesn't overlap. It's displaced. So the center of rotation is the midpoint between the two corresponding points, and to find those coordinates starting with the center of rotation at 0, 0, you just switch the signs, keep them in the same order, and switch the signs.